Hey everybody, Mike Pfeiffer with Pfeiffer Hobby Supply again. Today we're going to do ACT3 update 44 and show you what I've been up to. Had a lot of things going on lately, haven't had time to get out here and do a whole lot of work and so forth, but let's take a look and see what I've been doing. Okay, the first thing we're going to start off with today is I got a few guys that had been laying on the ground there stood back up. I've also got the ballast completed all the way around past the double crossover. So I think the ballast is pretty much done, at least on the main line. Got this area here pretty much, I mean, with the exception of detail scenery, this whole area right here is pretty much done. One thing you will notice, and I'll talk about how this happened, you'll notice that I put a little bit of backdrop in here. There was no mountain there before. We added a little bit of mountain scenery there, and I'll move on down here and show you why that is. Okay, the reason that is because I figured out a use for this space down here. This siding in the back. That is going to be where a Schmelly Meat Company is going to have its new home. You've seen this on the previous layout. The ramp there goes up to the upper level where the cattle are slaughtered and the meat processing starts to take place. There will be the pens there, just like there was before. The incoming cattle will go there, be in the holding pens until they are processed. I cut back. Well, you remember that there was scenery from the point where the locomotive is right there, all the way over to this hill over here, kind of just a hill along there. Well, I had to take that out to be able to fit the building in there and the pens. So I did that, and when I did that, then I had to put this backdrop scenery in there. That backdrop is cut out of a number 707 Instant Horizon backdrop. It's the lower portion of a desert to mountain, I believe, transition. Anyways, it seemed to fit in there real well. I like the way it turned out in there. The road, the intention is that the road is going to come from behind the hillside over there and come around, and then the employees will be parking on that asphalt back there, which I have not had time to use weathering powder on. The building is sitting up on the, it's actually HO foam roadbed, Atlas foam, not roadbed, but flat sheets, which is the same height as the roadbed. And then I used my regular method of paving to put the road in behind the meat company. It'll just be dirt and so forth up here underneath the ramp. It'll be ballast along the edge of the track and along in front of the cattle pens there. It'll be gravel back here because there's an unloading ramp there for trucks. If trucks come in to dump off cattle, they can back up to that and unload. I will have cows and things in there. Well, you remember kind of, I think, what it may have looked like on the old layout, but it's generally the same setup. But we'll blend it in there. I haven't mounted the building down, and I haven't gotten a chance to color in where I've added the plaster back in, such as right there, yet, because I need to put lighting in the building. Everything on the old layout was not lighted, so I've got to go back in and retrofit lighting on this. At the cattle pen, there will likely be two, maybe just one, probably just one lamp post there of some kind, so they can see what they're doing, and there'll be obviously some lights underneath the loading shed and maybe a light or two inside of the building. I really don't know yet. But I will be able to accept box cars in here, tank cars for outgoing renderings, box cars for hides, refrigerator cars for outgoing product, and stock cars for incoming cattle. And then I'll show you how this relates to another area on the layout that I've made a decision on as well. Let's go over there and check that out. Okay, here we are down at the other end. You recognize this area with the turntable and so forth. We haven't been down here for a little while. But I have decided, I have a bunch of, not a bunch, I have several cowboys and I have a whole lot of cows. What I'm going to do is put some cowboys driving some cows down off this hill here, or in this area over here somewhere, driving some cattle down, and there'll be some cattle pens right in this area right here. And they will be bringing those cattle down to those cattle pens to be loaded in the stock cars to be taken way over there to A Schmelly Meat Packing. So this will be able to give me a use for my cowboys and my driving cattle, and have a place to have a stock pen where the stock cars can be loaded. And I still have enough room up here to have yet another industry on this track. So likely I will have one, even maybe two, maybe three industries on that track. It's awful long. I may decide to shorten it up just a little bit down there, get rid of a little bit of that almost too long looking track. But I know a cattle pen's going to go down there, and I know that cowboys and cows are going to go down there. So that's the story on how to get meat to the packing company and give me industry to industry operation here, at least the first industry to industry operation. So let me swing back to the other end where I've been working. Okay, the next thing we're going to discuss, you've probably already seen, is I have the crossing lights here. I decided not to put the gates in. It's just too much to try and get down through 5 inches of foam to mount the gates. So I have obviously one light pointing, this way, and obviously one pointing the other way. And since the road comes in from the right, the crossing gate faces, or the crossing light faces that direction. I once again used my template to do my railroad crossing stencils, my metal stencil, which by the way are not available anymore. They were from a company I think called S&S maybe. Anyway, put my lines on there, got my crossing done, as you can see, which wasn't done last time. The only thing I haven't done is I haven't brought ballast up to the edge of it there, which is a real simple thing, just haven't gotten to it yet. Got carried away doing the building in the back. But you can see that I weathered the road, and I did put lines on the road going all the way down and up over the bridge. So we have the road now detailed. Guess I was kind of holding the camera a little bit high. But anyway, I have the lines on the road, at least sufficient enough for my taste. Coming down over the bridge and out. I do not have a stop sign there or anything yet, which you'll have to go in. But I'm making headway on the highway. I think one of the next things I do once I get Schmelly Meats in place is, and I've talked about it before, putting my guardrail of some kind along this highway that's right on the edge of the embankment there. The other thing I want to say, well, let me get into one other thing here. The other thing I wanted to say was that I'm using an ACTRR crossing gate flasher, and I have some sensors right here buried in the track, and right here buried in the track. For some reason, I tested all this out before I put the crossing lights in, and everything worked, but for some reason this one quit working this infrared detector and emitter. I'm not exactly sure what's going on. I haven't had a chance to fix it yet. But then we go on down beyond the crossing, and then my next one is here. And you can hear that I put my hand over it and it started working. And you can see that the lights are working. And the train is coming, of course. But I triggered it with my finger from the other track. It is coming down here and it's just going across the other detector. Once the last car passes that detector, well, I don't know if you'll see the light go out because I was actually on the downstream detector when I started the light. But nevertheless, it works with the exception of the detectors at the other end, and I'll be darned if I can figure out what's going on there. So I'm going to have to investigate that some more. But you can see that the crossing lights and bell do work. In fact, let me swing around here. You can see that they are working over there as well. So while it's working, it's not working properly. It did turn off finally. You also can see that I got my road got my road weathered and so forth going into the refinery or the oil facility. Not much new has happened there. One other thing I may point out is I tried my static grass applicator again, and I was relatively successful. And then I put dirt back in there, and I think I'm going to go back in and darken that up with a wash of some kind of a brownish red color like this right here. But I'm pretty satisfied, other than I think the color's a little bright, but it's okay. I can live with it for now. But that's the runoff area for the industry area up here on top. Aside from that, I'm going to talk about a couple more things here, and we'll probably wrap this one up. Okay, last week we talked about the sound unit here. No extra news or new news on that. However, I've been having trouble with one of my throttles, my Digitrax throttles, and I think it's in the throttle because one of them, this one, works, while the other one gives me some really crazy gibberish on the screen. But for quite some time now, because I get tired of clearing this box of all my locomotive numbers, I am likely going to get a new Evo system and swap this system out and sell the old Empire builder, just so that I can update to the newer throttles, the 500 throttles, 502s, whatever they are. And I may keep this wired throttle. Not sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I am going to get a new system. And I don't know whether I'll get a radio or a non-radio, because I don't think there's a problem with keeping the UR92 down here that I already have. It would just make the Empire builder a little bit harder to sell, being as it's a radio unit without the UR92. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I am going to replace the system. I even contemplated trying the MRC unit again, but I just not sure that I can go there yet. By the way, here's the instruction sheets, the 8 gazillion pages of instruction sheets for the sound unit. I did get some of my shelving here cleaned off now. I did get all my paints organized and in containers on top of my little storage cart, which I needed to get organized for another reason, and let me swing around there. Okay, that reason being, this is what I have on top of the layout, and I am now almost to the point where I'm going to need to start working over there, and this cannot any longer be a work area. So the idea is to rig this cart up and get it where I can set the paints off it and use the cart to store the stuff on that I'm going to be using to work on the layout. And you can see that I have quite the mess over here right now until I figure out places to put the flocking and things that I have here. That's about it for today. I'm going to show you one more thing as I usually do, and then we're going to wrap it up. I think I said that already, didn't I? The one last thing is I just got that Lotus Turban car. Those kits are selling for around 80 bucks. I was lucky and got that one for about half that on, found it, just put on eBay and made them an offer and they took it. So anyway, you know me, the Turban fan, so couldn't resist getting that one. So that's it for today, gang. Well, gang, hope you enjoyed update 44, and as usual, thanks for watching.